You are watching
Rarely Reserved,
a droid supremacy podcast.
I am Charles, also known as Omnis.
And I am Sin.
Droid
it.
supremacist.
Yeah, that part's...
We've established that at this point.
Well established.
All right. Well, I'm glad that we're back.
We're back. We're so back.
We did not intentionally take a multi-week break, but you had a birthday. So
I did.
You're what, like 17 now?
Yeah. 17 going on 50, apparently.
Yeah. You are an ancient demon.
Yeah. This is the 50th time I've turned 28.
Yeah. There's a reincarnation cycle with, or, if it's droid related, you're just kind of like
perpetual.
The next, you're like 50.76.
Yeah. I'm Sin.5.
That makes sense. That would be funny if you evolved your name after
every single
each birthday. To different versions. That would be pretty great. All right. Well, so for what we're talking about, I wanted to start off having the puck actually be about Shatterpoint demos and demos in general, because I did 3 weeks of demos in a row, and it got me thinking about demos a lot. And so I thought it would be interesting, before I just kind of like talk about my Shatterpoint demoing experience of late, when you think back, like, what was your best demo? Like the best
one I experienced? The best
one you experienced. Like, and what made it a good demo for you? And you don't have to say when I taught you Shatterpoint. You were allowed to give other answers.
I tried to think through all of the demos I've ever had, and I would say maybe... Honestly, the Shatterpoint one is the one that sticks out the most in my brain, like the one I can remember the most about. I think that the demos I had for Warhammer and AOS and Spearhead got me interested, but I don't remember a ton of detail. But the Shatterpoint one, I think I kind of somewhat committed to Shatterpoint already by buying a box and painting the box before doing the demo. And I think that did help a bit of I already had some connection to what was going on. Like, those are my little dudes. I'm not borrowing them for the demo or whatever. But it was that one I remember the most about. I honestly don't remember even what armies I demoed the other games with.
I'm trying to remember. I was in the game store for an MCP demo, which I thought might have been your demo. Do you remember who taught you MCP?
I want to say it was Nick.
Okay. I think I was there, and that demo was constantly being interrupted.
Oh,
and so,
yeah. No, it was Nick, and it was constantly being interrupted. And I think Nick, bless him, was eventually please stop. I'm trying to teach her. And that was... That demo I actually do remember some about, and Nick's a great teacher, and it did that one, despite not having none of the models being mine and me having absolutely no stake in it. It did get me involved in the game. So
but that's as a person who gives demos, interrupting my demo, because I create a flow, and I'm also trying to grapple with just how much information I want to give them in the first run through, because I'm trying to gauge, I'm trying not to wear them out, right? I want to get through the demo and have them excited to play another game. And that can be really hard with other people coming in. I used to do demos for War Machine, at PAX. For Privateer Press, and there would always be players who would come by, check out the booth, and then they would want to hang around the demos and make comments and tell story. I'm I am never gonna fucking get through this demo if you do not shut the fuck up.
Yeah, and the tendency to over-explain is real, or call out every single caveat, and it's in a demo we don't need to know there was this one character for whom that rule doesn't apply. It's
Okay, so coming back to the actual reason why I asked you that question.
Yeah.
What so if my demo for you for Shatterpoint was your favorite demo, or the demo that stuck with you the most, or whatever your justification for mentioning that one, what about it do you think made that a good demo, not just trying to blow smoke up my ass?
I would never. I think that the thing that was perfect about it was that it was just, you shrunk the board down a lot. There's only like a few pieces of terrain, and there's just a single squad versus a single squad, and then just the 3 objectives. And that meant the game was very fast.
Yes.
And so I got the like rhythm of the game, but that part of the demo was only, I don't know, 20 minutes maybe?
I think it was probably like a half hour.
Maybe a half hour. Regardless, every other game demo I've done has been like 90 minutes at the shortest. And so like that 20-minute demo, like we go through it and I get to do all the base, like you didn't over explain the cards, so I got to do all the base things like Grievous moves the droids, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
And at the end of it I was like, that was super fun. I want to see the
it's an appetizer. Like I definitely like it feels like an appetizer.
Yeah.
And that's why for Shatterpoint I specifically don't demo the full game, even though like I remember when the game came out and there was the intro event day, and I saw the intro event like kit, and they were like, play this little mission, 1 squad, and I'm like, no, I want to fucking play the full game. But like I already demoed the game at Adepticon. I had been researching it constantly up until its release. And so I didn't really think that much about it. And as I was teaching people the game, I would see people be kind of worn out by the end of a first game where they're learning a full 2 squads.
Yeah.
And I just, almost every time I was noticing like people, unless they were like already like so gung-ho and knew a bunch of information going into it.
Yeah.
And so I definitely think like making it digestible is really important. And then play a full game. And I found every time that I've done Shatterpoint demos and let me teach you a demo game, then we're going to play a full game. They always seem less worn out doing both than if I just did one game with them.
Yeah.
And it's funny how that works out.
Yeah.
Because we're technically playing more.
Yeah. No, I get that. Yeah. Because it's kind of like if you've ever like studied for something by reading the short version first and then the long version, there's kind of a like, okay, my brain knows what to expect. So when I go through the long thing, I know where the end is. So I'm not just like, oh, I'm getting so tired. I don't know where this ends. I don't know when this ends. I think doing the like a little amuse-bouche for Shadow, like any game, is appropriate.
Yeah. So what got me thinking about all this, because I haven't done this many demos like back to back. And so one of the things, like obviously I don't want to talk a whole ton about like what AMG and Asmodee said, because we don't know what it means. And honestly, I'm sick of talking about it already. But we're in a spot where, like, I've been saying this in the beginning, the success of the game is going to be determined by the community, one way or the other. Right. And it's something I've thought about recently before the Asmodee announcements and stuff, was just that, like, if we want the game to be bigger and we want the game to have a larger community and we want it to be successful, it's literally in our power to accomplish. We teach the game to people. We grow the community. You bring in new people. You run tournaments. You get people psyched. You answer their questions in the store. All of those things is like how you grow the community. If we want Shatterpoint to be a bigger game, it's to some extent it is on the community. Like, there's honestly only so much Atomic Mass Games can do past making the game, right? And like how cool we are as a community, which I actually think is a really strong suit of Shatterpoint in general. And so I wanted to teach the game anyway, but I would definitely like to see the game grow and have more people be a part of it. And but part of that is like being able to do successful demos. Yes. Because I don't know. I feel like every time I teach someone Shatterpoint, they're generally like interested in playing more Shatterpoint. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It is a tough one because trying to get people into that. But you're right. The Shatterpoint community is so like great. And because I was kind of losing interest in minis games in general when I got into Shatterpoint, and then meeting all the Shatterpoint people, and like, I'm not a convention person, really. That's not really my jam, but like...
Yet. You're not a convention person, yet.
Never say never, but like, the people were really the highlight of it, and so like, every time I'm like, trying to get someone new in, it's like, I joined this giant thing that's like so much to learn, but I promise you'll enjoy it and everyone in it. But like kind of doing it in stages of, that's why demo, I think, can be a little difficult because you kind of have to tailor it to the person. You
do. Yeah. Every demo that I do, I ask them, like, what character do you want to play the most? And then I try to make sure that things are set up, at least to a certain degree. I never organize their card order or anything. I always still do it random. I feel the game is fun enough that I don't need to customize their order deck.
For me, it's not I do organize the order deck, but not because I want to manipulate the amount of fun, but because I think some characters are more complicated than others, and I want to start easy to difficult, or like if it's annoying to pull a character first because then the activation's weird, or you have to think about it a lot more for the activation to make sense. I just feel like that one's at the bottom. Your first game, you don't need to worry about how to Shatterpoint first. Like that, I will do. That will just be our difference right there.
But one of the other things that, so for me, post thinking about it was, so usually Darth Maul, Gar Saxon, and the Super Commandos are my demo team, the team that I play, because it gives me an excuse to play Darth Maul.
Yeah.
Who I love.
He's a cool model.
But man, by the time I was getting to the third demo, I was getting kind of fucking sick of playing the Darth Maul. And I was realizing that there's actually not a lot of squads that I feel like are a really good demoing squad for the person who's playing it. Now, at least it's probably my style of demoing where I like to still like play it and showcase like what it's doing. And I don't want to like just play it badly.
Yeah.
Right? Because I feel like I'm also showcasing like part of it is like seeing the stuff that your opponent is doing and being excited about playing the other things. But there's a lot of like, I don't really want to play most revenge characters in the demo because they do a lot and they interrupt the initial sequence. And like, I find that would be really rough learning. Anything that's too offensive can be rough too. Like Vader 1 and like Iden and so there's definitely this little bit of like, I have this like secret journey of maybe figuring out, what other squads would be good for demoing, both like that I find it fulfilling and fun and I'm like still playing an interesting team, but they fill that niche of just the right amount for a demo. I don't know if you have any thoughts there.
Yeah. And I've run across this in demoing other games where like, it's terrible to demo a game with, an army that is intentionally subverts the rule set.
Yes.
And so, like, when you're demoing, you want to pick honest armies that actually follow the rules. And unfortunately, a lot of fun stuff to play is anti the rules of the game. So it's like, oh, I really want to play this faction, and it's like, cool, we'll get to that. You don't get to know about that until like it kind of feels like that's graduation. We're in preschool. We're gonna do building blocks for a minute, and then we'll get over to the game breaking stuff.
When I was doing demos for War Machine, and because I wouldn't have control over like what I'm demoing with, they were bringing stuff to the convention and it would be different each year. And there was a year where there was a team that breaks all of the rules and there was a fair team.
Wow. Okay. So, probably some people would object to this.
But the thing is like, I always wanted the person who was learning to play the one that breaks the rules. But sometimes they would be like, no, I want to play those guys in blue. And I'm like, damn it.
See,
now I have to teach you all the fair stuff.
See, I would be the opposite. Like, I want you to play the team that follows the rules so that you understand the rules. And then I can play the team that breaks the rules, but I don't need to explain everything that I'm doing so that, like, it's not stuck in your brain of, like, wow, Because I feel like as someone who's been on the receiving end of a lot of demos, at least when you're learning it, you're not paying that much attention to what the other person's doing beyond the basics. So like I don't worry as much about what I am playing in a demo as much as what they're playing, because it's like, I know we differ on that front where you're like, we want to explain both sides. But to me, when I'm learning, I care what I'm doing.
Yes.
And less about what you're doing, because I'm like, I have enough brain power for one thing and when I'm learning, and it's like, I'm not going to learn your army. I'm going to trust you as the demo person, not to gotcha me.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to take charge of what I'm doing.
As much as I do try to explain some of the stuff that I'm doing, one of my realizations after playing the Darth Maul team, like multiple weeks of demos in a row, I have stopped explaining Mandalorians are stronger together. I'm like, this is a totally pointless rule for me to explain to them. They're not playing Mandos.
Yeah.
I'm just going to like move and then roll the right amount of dice.
Yep.
And they don't actually need that part.
It's
and
not important.
I stopped explaining that part.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, if we had like some downtime between, like after the demo, then I go, oh, by the way, the reason why I was rolling this dice is because of the Mando synergies. Yeah. And now I think maybe there's a little bit that gets lost. Like maybe if I explain it, there's a better chance that they'd be excited to play Mandos because they think that that sounds interesting. But I'm leaning more towards like keeping the flow of the demo. And I was like, I don't need to explain this.
No. And I try to keep a lot of curiosity in it when I do demos of like, all right, like kind of trying to figure out how much it's clicking with them by asking questions. Yeah. Like, okay, you can do these, you can do this. What do you think about moving this way? And if they like understand why to move that way, then I'm like, nice, you've got it. You're doing so good. If they don't know what to do, if you seem really questioning, then I just slow down a lot. And I'm like, okay, we're taking it a step back. Because I found the more, funny enough, sometimes under-explaining gets people more engaged because they're like, if you this is such a finesse thing.
I'm getting what you're throwing down. I actually really like it.
Yeah, if you slightly under-explain something, they'll process it and then ask a question. And getting asked a question in a demo is like, just like, yes.
That's pretty genius. I can't lie. Like I don't think I've ever intentionally done that, but now I'm with you that I think that's so, I mean, that's Droid Queen shit right there. That's DQS for sure.
You got like,
that's gonna be a reoccurring bit on the show now when we have DQS.
Yeah, but like truly, it's in the way that like getting someone into anything is a little bit of manipulation. You're manipulating them into hopefully having fun.
Yeah,
and just people feel more connected if they're like processing it and asking questions and like, so I always try to back off as much as I can.
I respect the manipulation. You're like, I'm going to manipulate you into being a part of this awesome community.
Well, because like I've realized that if I do all the talking, either they zone out, or like they hear everything I've said but don't feel connected to what happened. They feel like I played a game against myself.
Yeah,
that's the worst thing that can happen. Is like that you just made someone sit for an hour and watch you play Shatterpoint or you play whatever, and so trying to make sure that even when they don't know anything, they're involved is like paramount. Like the worst thing I see people do when they're doing a demo is move all the models themselves. Terrible.
Yeah. So I'm of two minds on this, where I think there's a very fine line to walk where I think what makes me a good demoer and why I appeal to the people that I end up doing demos for is that I want to show you options. I think if you just play a demo and you don't have anyone pointing out to you like the interesting plays and stuff, you're not going to see as much of the coolness of the game.
No.
But it's a very fine line to walk because you're right. You don't want to cross that threshold into being like, I'm just playing for you.
Yeah.
And so when you have times you're like, I think I see them seeing the Matrix, and you let them go and you're just like, hey, I think you have a great play. But you could get a little bit closer if you hit this ingress point on the way and then go up and you start extending the plan. Yeah. But there is this challenge to be like, I want to show you the cool thing that your favorite character can do. Yeah. And this is how you can accomplish it. But like show them multiple paths. Like, he could do this. He could do this. Like any of these things
I've found what's really great is like once the basics of the game have been understood and it's the other person's turn, like, okay, it's your turn, and then you remind them of the next turn thing, like flip your Shatterpoint card, and then I just let them sit and stare at it for a minute.
Yeah.
Like just like solid silence for a couple seconds, and then gently I'm like, so what are you thinking? But like in a conspiratorial manner, like what are you thinking?
Yeah.
And then based on what they say, like encourage them in that direction.
Yeah.
And if they're like, oh, I really don't know, then we go backwards again of like, now I'm walking back to like really showing you what to do, but hopefully in a way that's like, you know, it sounds so manipulative, but like, have you ever seen My Big Fat Greek Wedding?
I have actually not seen that movie.
There's a part in it where they need the dad to agree to something, but they know he won't unless he comes to it himself.
Yep.
And so a lot of times in a demo, I talk around something until they figure it out themselves. And then when they figure it out themselves, they're so excited that they figured it out themselves. And I'm just like, you did it. You puzzled this puzzle, and like you've got it. And then that like little confidence boost that they get from having solved the puzzle is like just another, like I have this like kind of mental tally of things that I need to have happen in a demo, and one of them is that they solve a puzzle by themselves.
I want your full list of things that you want to accomplish in a demo. Not necessarily in this episode, because I feel like that's putting you on the spot, but I actually think the sin list of demo accomplishments is fucking genius.
Yeah, well, I will formalize it.
Yes.
And write it out.
We'll come back to this down the road, and we will have a formal...
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, these are things that have been on my mind. I do want to, like, one of my plans in the meantime is figure out other squads that I think are fun for me to do in a demo besides the Darth Maul squad.
Yeah.
And kind of make sure I have a pre-created, like, list of that can fluctuate depending on, like, what my opponent wants to play. Mm-hmm. Like, one of the ones that I've been thinking, I wanted to make a Luke Skywalker list. Because I don't think Luke is inherently bad or unfun to play, and I think he would be fun for me to play, like as an excuse to play him as well in demos. But I need to also figure out the rest of the list, because I fucking hate playing Lando and R2.
Oh.
Even though I really like both of those, like the sculpts.
Oh, the sculpts.
The sculpts are fantastic. And so there's a thing of like, but then a lot of the Rebel stuff is just like super strong. Like, I don't want to fucking play Rebel Commandos in a demo.
Yeah, they fell kind of into one of my like immediately breaking the rules of the game. Yeah, and that's just confusing when you're starting. Like, we want to keep it a little simple.
So there's some little bits of thought process there of like, it's a side project for me is figuring out what other teams I think are right in that middle ground of like interesting for me to play, but like don't fundamentally like get too complicated or be like too simple and boring for myself, or add a weird stress level. Like, I finally like did a demo game with playing Mando just because I was like, I need something else to play. And but I'm like, I was also seeing at the same time, I'm like, man, this is a little complicated.
Well, like, I'm not opposed to playing something complicated as the one doing the demo, because I'm just going to distill what's going on. Yeah. And then the player should be playing the more simple thing. One thing that I've been kind of wrestling with myself about doing demos is how much do I want to have the person getting the demo look at the cards before we start.
Interesting. Okay.
Because I've tried a few different ways, and I'm not sure what I love the most. And I think the answer is it depends on how much experience that person has with wargaming in general. Yeah. And because there's drawbacks to both. Because like, if we just launch into it and they know nothing, those first few, like the first go around, they're relying on me completely. It's like they don't know anything. But their cognitive load at the start is less. They're kind of just like wading into it, right? Versus I make them, or I walk through the card with them before we start. That has some problems in that, like, now we're just doing a lecture. Before we're not moving anything, we're not playing anything, we're not looking at anything.
That is not the fun part of this.
That is not the fun part. And some of the middle ground I've kind of come to is that as I'm deploying or like helping deploy, I do like a quick spiel of like, this is like, and I don't say anything super specific about like, this is Rex. all his stuff is about moving fast and, you know, just like trying to like get little keywords in their brain, not the actual keywords, but like, you know, when
he
they
is
see
Galactic
Rex,
Republic. He is 501st.
But when they get to him, they think, oh, this is my movie character. This is the fast guy, right? And so that they're feel attached to it before. I will say, if I'm demoing for an experienced wargamer, I'm going to make them read first. Homework.
So I'm glad you brought that up, because one of the things that I was thinking about in the demos is, obviously, I feel like I jump pretty quickly to the like, hey, utilize your spend a force, gain a movement ability, right? And I do think there would be a good layer for if they had just read the card, even if they don't understand it. Yeah. But I'm like, hey, you're going to use, you know, defensive maneuver here.
Yeah.
And like, I think there is a layer to that if it can be worked in, where I think it would be nice where they're like already connecting what I'm saying with the thing that they read on the card.
Yeah. Well, I haven't done this for Shatterpoint. I've thought about it, but I haven't demoed it enough that like it was kind of, I could have like a reasonable expectation to do this. But for other games, what I have done, this is so much effort. Okay. But I have got my list together of the 2 armies I'm going to play against each other, and then got my like, you know, the rules for them and everything. And then I go into a PDF editor and I fucking cut some of them out.
Oh yeah, cut out the stuff that's like much less important to the demo. I mean, it's not something I think everyone can do, but like, say for example on Rex, like I'm always first kid. Or,
don't need it. We don't need
like we're probably not using that one in the demo. No. Like that is smart, and I like that. Okay. That is kind of what AOS does with Spearhead, right? Like, because Spearhead is a
distilled form of AOS.
But it is. And until you said that, because there are things where I'm like, can we just skip that ability for now? Like, I've taught with Grievous multiple times. Like, his, like, I forget the name of it. The fucking lightsaber twirl thing. Yeah. Like, this just doesn't come up very often. You can skip over this one for the time being.
But people's inclination is always to like, oh, don't worry about that. And then they're like, I'm going to worry about it.
Yeah. So, like, exactly. He's telling me not to do something.
Exactly. So
he wants me to read this and ask him questions.
So I've genuinely thought the next time I do a Shatterpoint demo, I'm going to pick the teams and then I'm going to print out the cards and just fucking cross off the stuff that like isn't
clever.
Which is... I've talked to a few people about it. It's so divisive. Yeah. Because some people are like, oh, that's smart because they don't need to know the whole card to get to their first game. And then it's even more fun because it's like, you do that first game, they only have a few abilities. And then you're like, all right, you've graduated. Here's the big boy card. Look at all these other abilities. You already liked this guy. He's even cooler than you thought.
Okay. All right. So this is going to segue us nicely. I feel like we've talked about demos long enough. But the main message on that takeaway, if you want to grow the Shatterpoint community, the way you do it is by getting more people into the fucking game.
Yep.
You know? And if you're scared that Shatterpoint is going away, the best thing that you could do is do something that sells a bunch of models. It's like, if all of a sudden our community doubled over the next month because everybody taught someone else the game and they got into it, you bet your fucking ass we would get more shit. Yeah. Part of this is I'm also about to learn a game. We had been talking off and on about me trying Age of Sigmar, which was the game that you were playing before I got you into Shatterpoint. Yes. I had been talking about missing playing a fantasy game, and you're like, well, these models are pretty fucking dope. But anyway, while I've been like assembling and painting this stuff, I've been having a lot of thoughts. First off, it makes me fucking miss Shatterpoint to a certain degree. And so let me explain why.
Okay.
I feel like the GW stuff caters even more to the hobbyist than maybe like I was totally ready for.
GW refers to Warhammer as a hobby and not a game.
Right. And so like it feels like they're trying to capture like putting together feels like I just bought a fucking like model car or something, or I bought like the Lego Death Star, and I'm like, this is going to take me so many hours just to put all of this stuff together. And like, it is its own challenge just to assemble. And there's this definite, and I saw this back in like War Machine, where there were some sculptors who did this and some sculptors who didn't, but like very intentionally trying to create stuff where like, we think this would be fun for a professional painter. Yeah. And I'm like, could we cut a couple of necklaces or something here and just like
looking at you, Slanesh demons.
Just like cut a couple of the random little shit where I can have like a little bit of some wider areas to do like one coat. Not that I would stop at one coat, Dizzard. But so that was like one of my thoughts is like, I do really appreciate playing Shatterpoint, and then like, all right, this model is like 5, 6, 7 pieces.
Yep.
And
at least. And you gotta paint 10 of them.
Well, and they're coming from something that was supposed to be on screen, right? So it's like, it's already an existing thing.
Sure.
It's not something that someone is just visualizing and creating on a computer and they just start adding bits, you know? Things are there because it was in the original costume, and they're not overcomplicating it because it would just make the costumes more fucking expensive. So that was one of my first thoughts where I'm like, I am realizing that if we're going through like all of the different games on the market, that there's this element of like, you would rate each one on like how crazy of a hobbying game it is, like how strategic a game is, like how interesting list building is for a particular game, like all of these things. So, but like you did the opposite. You were playing Age of Sigmar, then you tried MCP and Shatterpoint. Did you feel like you were intentionally taking a step down on the hobbying side? Where you're like, or was it still interesting?
It was really, really funny because since I come from Age of Sigmar and other Warhammer stuff, people were like, oh, well, some of the models are pretty difficult. Like they're a little annoying to assemble, blah, blah, blah. And then I assembled some of the more quote unquote annoying ones. And I was like, what are, like, no, like I think just Warhammer stuff, and everyone has their own pet reason why Warhammer makes itself so difficult to assemble. But they're just more finicky and small and cut into a lot more pieces, and like you need the instructions most of the time. You can't just like, with what I figured out with Shatterpoint stuff is that most of the time I don't need the instructions. Like they don't come with instructions either. So sometimes I fly by the seat of my pants, like it looks like it goes together like this. Oh, it does go together like this.
Yeah.
Versus versus AOS models and Warhammer models in general, not intuitive in the slightest. So like
there is a very specific order.
Yes.
To now. I'm with you, where most of the time with a Shatterpoint model or an MCP model, I will just assemble it without looking at the instructions. No need. But I have gotten myself caught a couple of times where they're like, you really should put this cape on first, you know, and like being caught. But it was like putting together the Age of Sigmar stuff was like, no, I have to follow the instructions. But I will say, you probably don't know this, but when MCP first came out, the instructions were in the box.
Oh.
They shifted to online instructions because they were finding that they would, in the production cycle, that they would be making little adjustments to characters because like you start working out what the mold is going to look like, and then suddenly a character changes a little bit. And then the instructions don't match. And so they're just like, we're just going to do digital instructions rather than have wrong instructions.
I don't relish telling you this, but a lot of times GW's instructions are wrong.
Right. But my point is I realized because there's that little book, I actually really liked the Spearhead assembly book.
Yay.
And it made me miss, like, when I'm fucking like gluing shit together, I don't want my phone or tablet on with like instructions that I have to like skim, because I don't want any of that shit on my screen.
No.
And I intentionally enjoy that this hobby takes me away from my devices.
Yes.
I say this as a person who spends an incredibly large amount of hours both on Discord and recording podcasts and being very electronically connected.
One of us is chronically online, and it's not the Gen Z, okay?
Millennial in the house. But I find it really refreshing. Like I spent like fucking 12 hours one particular day painting this week.
Cruising. Like I am so jealous.
I get into the zone, but I enjoy that I'm like somewhat disconnected from my phone for a period of time. And so it does bother me that the AMG stuff doesn't have, and so that makes me not want to look it up at all.
Yes. Yeah. I have that too, especially because, like, I always have issue, and this is probably just me trying to do too many things at once, but, like, we'll always have issues where I end up having to open and download the freaking thing, like, 50 times, because, like, I'll, like, go to a different app on my phone and then it's gone, and I'm like, oh, I have this download number 63.
Yeah, it's not so bad if, like, because I do often assemble stuff at work these days, for better or worse, and that's not too bad because I'm just, like, I'm having it up on one of the screens and I'm assembling stuff, and I'll occasionally, like, look over at it. But if I'm at home at my painting desk, like, assembling stuff, I did find, like, I liked it as a book too, as opposed to, like, a fold out, which was how AMG originally did it. So that was one of my thoughts where I was like, I actually liked this being here. It wasn't perfect.
No.
Like, there was definitely times I was looking at it, I was like, and this thing, attention, and it, like, is showing the front of the model, and it's like, this thing, and I'm like, classic. You motherfuckers.
Yeah. Every once in a while, I think they're doing it on purpose. They're, like, pranking us. Yeah. Like, what if we showed this from the opposite side, just to make it as confusing as possible?
Yeah. But so because I was painting Age of Sigmar stuff, I'm just bringing it back to Shatterpoint and, like, gaming in general, because we're not an Age of Sigmar podcast.
No, we are a Droid Supremacy podcast.
We are a Droid Supremacy, the DSP. We had DQS stuff going on.
Yep.
But one of my realizations was I was putting extra work into the basing for this stuff, and I picked up shout out to Gamers Grass. They're not sponsoring us, but I thought Gamers Grass
deserve it.
Yeah, they had some pretty sweet stuff, and I was like, so if we go back to my first painting game, I ended up doing basically, like, rocks and snow.
Classic.
Right? And it was like, I learned cork. I put cork on bases. I didn't do it the exact way that other people were doing it. I really liked having, like, kind of cork pillars and stuff popping out of the snow. So there was snow around that, and then there was snow on top of it.
Winter Wonderland.
Yeah. And so, like, that was the main thing that I did originally. Then going to MCP, like, for the most part, I started with just, like, concrete ground. Right? Like, very gray.
Concrete.
Yeah, fuck yeah, concrete. And I tended to not put very much other stuff on it as much as I could help it. Keep the bases simple. Going to Shatterpoint, I expanded that a little bit. I didn't want to do Tatooine, so I was doing kind of a Geonosis / Korriban, red Marzi Earth, and I started putting a little bit of, like, flock, not, like, across the whole base, but just, like, a little bit that would add, like, some gravel and stuff to the basing, still keeping it relatively simple. Coming back to trying Age of Sigmar, I was like, well, I don't really want to do these things, and I'm like, let me challenge myself. I've learned a lot over the years.
Yes.
And, like, as I was working on the stuff, it got me thinking about my early days of War Machine and how often I would see people's armies and such and be like, holy shit. Like, that is so cool looking. Yeah. That is so far beyond me. And part of it is basing.
Yes.
Right? You know, and there's little things like...
Underappreciated.
Like, sounds like probably, like, to a lot of people, this probably sounds like such a stupid lesson, but I always struggled with trying to make the brown ground look right? Because I was like, pick a brown, like, wash the brown, dry brush browns, and it just never quite looked right. And it's like the step of, like, dry brushing a khaki on the top of brown.
How now, brown ground?
Yeah. You know, and just these little things of, like, how you make each of these different colors, like, pop. Because, like, on the Age of Sigmar stuff, I have brown ground, I have some gray rocks, and then I have, like, ruins that are, like, that cream tone. And I feel like this is, like, the first time I've really been doing a basing scheme like this with very distinctive different things. And I've learned how to paint each of them differently and which colors to use. And I was like, I was just kind of proud of myself in general.
No, they look really good.
But it got me just thinking in general about us recognizing our own personal growth. Because I think I messaged you on Discord, and I had this whole weird spiel about how I bet if I actually went back and looked at some of those armies that I was admiring and thinking, God, I will never be able to do that. There's probably people now who look at my stuff the same way, and there's no direct way for me to compare. And so I know you've been on a little bit of a challenging hobby journey of late, and like your confidence in yourself. But I still very much consider you way better painter than I am. My question though is how do you like examine and go like, I'm getting better at this, or I've gotten better at this, or like,
I think funny enough, one of the ways is like just keeping all of my miniature photos in a like its own like file, like in my phone, where it's just not like mixed in with everything, but it's like here's only miniature photos.
Okay.
And it's not every single one that was ever taken. It's literally just my favorite of each of the models. So I have a different folder that's every single picture. But I'll just have one that's like favorite mini photos. And it's like one of each model or two at most. And so then I take these really long breaks in between looking at them. Okay. So I'm not looking at them all the time. So maybe like a couple every other month or something. And then I'll go all the way to the back. I'll start with the oldest model. And then I'll kind of flick through them. And like then I'll look at the oldest model and the newest model. And I'll be like, okay. Even if I want to be really unfair to myself, it's clear that I've grown a lot from this first model that I did to now, or a model that I did a year ago to now. And that trying to be unbiased about yourself is hard, but like also being honest with yourself is important. But like sometimes that sounds like, oh, you need to be mean to yourself. No, I mean you need to be honest with yourself, like because it can be easy to be like
maybe a little bit of both. Yeah.
Well. No, just be like honest with yourself and like that you can acknowledge that you've got better at something. That's okay. Like just it's not being full of yourself to acknowledge that you got better.
Well, and so I'm comparing this a little bit. Like there was a point where I had dropped a whole bunch of weight really fast and I had body dysmorphia where I literally couldn't imagine me fitting in a particular pair of clothes, even though it was the right size of clothes for me because I had dropped so fast. And I think there's an element of that in us growing, I think in hobbying, where you're like, you still have this self-image or I'm not sure what the right word is, but your view of yourself is that you're like excellent. Like if just painting on is a scale of 0 to 10, right? And you're like, you spent multiple years at a 4, but you've made the jump to 6. But you still think of yourself as a below average painter. Not you specifically, but I mean like humans.
No, yeah, sure.
Where you got to realize that you have crossed the threshold where now like people are going, hey, I wish my shit looked like your shit.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because I've always like, I'm a very social person. So I like show my models to people who don't play war games. And so like, even when I'm like, maybe a 5, or like maybe like 5.5, 5.6, people are like, wow, this stuff looks really cool. And I'm like, I am average, maybe slightly above average painter, but you're like, the average person is like, that looks cool. And so there is just like this whole like learning journey. And I will definitely say like the bases on my Age of Sigmar have me going like, oh, okay, I have leveled up. And that nice. feels cool. And I'm glad that I challenged myself to not just, because I certainly crossed my mind. I'm like, let's do rock and snow again. Like, you know,
back to basics.
back to basics.
Zone engaged.
So like that was on my mind, but in general, I shout out to AMG, like coming from an army game and then MCP was their first game. I started playing it right away. I had to learn some hard lessons fast. Are you ready for like a really crazy hobby story that might make you cringe? So assembling War Machine models, a lot of it's like metal, right? And so this stuff expands.
What?
Yes. Have you even assembled a metal model?
No.
Okay. So most of the stuff was metal when I started. Like basically almost everything was metal. But I learned at a certain point where I actually put green stuff into the joints to make a better fit.
Okay. That makes sense.
And that worked really well. And then because like super glue wouldn't hold perfectly to start, and it was like kind of get stuff in the position that you want, and the green stuff would sort of like hold the legs.
Yeah.
Where like so I had a little bit of like give to find the right position that I wanted for them, and then the whole thing could dry. I did that to my first MCP models. which was awful.
Yeah, I was going to say, that had to not work.
Not work at all.
Ooh. Oh, you also assembled stuff with super glue.
I would still assemble most stuff with super glue.
I didn't hear that.
But I'm glad. So, like, if you had not taught me some of the lessons about, like, Tamiya extra thin plastic cement,
Yeah.
right? I would not have been ready for Age of Sigmar models at all,
Oh,
right?
yeah, because that... Oh.
Right. But I still assembled some of the stuff with super glue. You would be like, some of the times I would assemble, like, torsos with the super glue. And then like switch to the Tamiya. But I was like, that's also like a weird lesson that happened to pick up because the first plastic cement I used was like garbage. So I'm like, why do people use this? Not realizing that it was the brand of plastic cement that was the problem. Yeah. And so that has been an interesting lesson. But I want to bring it all back to not like kind of yes, exactly. That's really what we're about. But about recognizing our growth. And so, like, thinking about my growth as a painter made me go, how do you actually understand that you're getting better as a player? And
kill count.
Is it just how many wins? Is that all that matters?
No, that's just the easy answer. No.
So one of my thoughts, and says I don't think this is an easy answer, and I think this is something that we all struggle with to a certain degree, is recognizing, because it's like, this is not all World of Warcraft, right? We're not just gaining a level.
Yeah.
Right? When you just like have a system that like ticks up and you're like, and this might be part of why people like Longshanks so much, right?
Yes.
You see your rank climbing. You're like, clearly I've gotten better.
Yeah.
But for me, there's a lot of like smaller steps, and it's weirdly easier for me to recognize that I'm getting better at a game on a strategic level than it is for me to recognize that I'm getting better from a hobby perspective.
Sure.
But it's like a thing, after my first times playing Shatterpoint, one of the things that I recognize, I'm like, healing is really good when you get to use it, right? Yeah. Like the first time you're playing against somebody and they like heal that fucking thing back to full. You're like, I left you at 1. You healed back to full. God damn it. And so you start going, well, think about how often Mando's heal or Bo-Katan's heal or Rex's heals. But when you start seeing, they're like, and I arranged myself perfectly. So I was within range 2 of this model. So now I get to heal it. And when you start utilizing that stuff, and that's a thing that I think when I'm working on it, I very clearly tell during a game that I'm like, I remembered to position for that. Now I got to take advantage of it, and it actively helped me win the game. But you've been learning Shatterpoint from scratch more recently than me. Do you have any advice for like gauging your own improvement?
It depends on who you're surrounded by, honestly. Because, like, for me, hopefully this is true of all Shatterpoint players. Yeah. But for me, I'm surrounded by very supportive people who are constantly trying to teach me. So
you mean Donovan?
Honestly, yeah, Donovan and well, Donovan's
You're not talking about me, is what I'm saying.
No, I'm talking about all of you. Donovan's actually a good example, though, because Donovan will sit there and play both sides of the game in his head, and I'll like watch him play my turn in his head, and then he'll sit there and like once it's clicked, he'll look back up at me like I've seen the Matrix. And he just stares at me for a second, and I'm like, "Tell me what you just thought." But getting better while he's seeing the Matrix, I'm at least seeing part of it. And so for me, at least a marker where I'm getting better against Donovan is that I do a thing and he just kind of nods to himself.
Yeah.
But like, he's like,
She did the thing.
She did the thing. And it's like, before it would be like, I don't know. Or most of the time, honestly, I Donovan, I see you saw something. Help. And so that would be how I would measure my success with Donovan. And with you, I'm a little more free about just like I've told you I really like getting advice.
Yeah.
And so when we play, one of my markers for success is the times that I get you to say, "Oh, I didn't even think of that."
Yeah. I like acknowledging when my opponent was like, did not see that coming.
Yeah, which is great because it makes me feel very good of like, okay, not only am I getting plays, I'm starting to see plays that like aren't obvious. And so that feels very good. It just depends. Like my markers of success are pretty dependent on the person I'm playing against. So that's a hard thing to like judge or like give advice to someone of like, pay attention to who you play against and like how they, but it's less about winning and more about the number of times I calm down and like think things through. Because even if I don't find a way out, if I, think it all the way through and then explain to my opponent, like, here's what I just thought through. And then they're like, yeah, you're fucked. It's like, perfect. At least we're on the same page. So, but yeah, like for me, my successes have mostly been letting my little rabbit heart calm down enough to like think.
I will say, shout out to Donovan. He is probably the player that most often is like, kind of he verbally says that he made a mistake, and I have no idea what he's talking about.
Yeah, it is very funny. Like, I'm like,
And he's always like, yeah, just don't worry about it. No, I do think some of the time he's thinking that something was a mistake that maybe wasn't actually. Like, we're playing a very subtle game.
Yes.
Where I have seen people go, oh, I think this was a mistake. And I was like, actually, you leaving that model there was actually really fucking annoying for me. So
yeah,
I don't think that was actually a mistake in this case.
Well, Donovan thinks too hard when he plays against me because he's like playing 4D chess and he's like, oh,
Yeah.
well, in 3 turns, Ren could do this. And I'm like, buddy,
He's gotta beat up on the big time podcasters.
I like playing Donovan because he is very willing to like talk me through what he's thinking, and he's pretty chill and patient about it. And what's funny is like he's very excited too to tell you what his plan for you is. He's like,
this is how I'm gonna dismantle your hopes and dreams.
Yeah, well, like you should do this, this, and this, and this. And I have a counter for it. But that's still the best move. But like, since pretty much everyone I play against is just no argument good, I cannot let my win-loss record be a determining factor in whether or not I'm getting better, because I would just be crushed, like emotionally crushed constantly, because I don't want to win because it was given to me. That isn't very fun. And also just, you're not really learning if someone's just...
Yeah. Well, and you can absolutely lose games and learn from it.
I think you learn the most when you're losing. And so I don't really mind losing. It's I think that I will get frustrated if, I don't know, like mostly at myself of like, I'm not giving myself the chance to think. I just get nervous that I'm not doing it fast enough. Yeah. And then I'll just ask, okay, what do I do? And then I deny myself the opportunity to learn.
That is one of the, so I don't want to like get into a big like chess clock debate in the middle of this show, but since you brought that up, I think one of the things that is the hidden value of chess clocks is when you have a very set amount of time and you're like, you have 50 minutes and I have 50 minutes. I get to use my 50 minutes however the fuck I want.
Yeah. And
it's right there. So there are times when you're like, have I been thinking for like 20 minutes? And you look over at the clock. No, it's been 3. And there are like advantages to having that there that actually are calming. I'm not necessarily saying that Shatterpoint should switch to a chess clock game, but those are the sort of things that I do think come into play where you're like, I have X amount of time. Let me use it how I want to use it. And then you're like, if I run out of time, you're like, I thought too much on those turns. Or inversely, you can very clearly, like your opponent can't complain to you. Like in one of the videos from LVO, I actually, I spoke to the player afterwards. I'm not going to like call them out on the podcast, but I spoke to them about it because I noticed, because I'm listening to the audio, and I noticed that they were trying to kind of call out their opponent for slow playing. And I mentioned them afterwards. I was like, as an outsider with no stakes in the game, I was like, you chose the turn where they pulled a very awkward card for the situation that was a very challenging, like I would, as soon as I saw the card, I'm like, in the tank.
Yeah.
And then they're like, hey, I don't want to go to time. And I was like, that was not the right turn to bring that up. Whether the person was slow playing any other turn is a different conversation, but that is a turn anyone would have needed time to like deliberate, because it was a rough pull in a rough situation. It was like not like digging into it, but like that's always an instinct and we don't really know. And that's one of the things without having like a clock at the table or something. Yeah. Part of it is like the Shatterpoint time rules suck. You do not want to go to time.
I plead the fifth. Yeah. Time is, I think I've said many times on the show that like my biggest goal in gaming is to be fun to play against. And part of that, it does give me a bit of time anxiety, because I'm like, if I sit here and think too long, that's boring. And also if I sit here and think too long and then do something stupid, then I look stupid and am boring. And that's catastrophe. So then I like psych myself into just reacting immediately, and then I do something stupid anyway. And so like I need to relax, and I am better when I don't freak out so much and worry. And but that's just me getting in the way of myself a lot.
Well, we've had conversations in the recent months about like team event possibilities and your personal concerns about like letting me down if we were on a team together. And I was like, I feel like I'm pretty good at judging everybody's ability to win a game that I see. And so it's something where it's like, if I'm walking into a situation, I'm like, I want to do a thing with you. Mm-hmm. I know your level of play. I know where you're at. I know what you can do. It's the same as I was asking you to paint something. I know what I'm signing up for. And so I only want you to be you. And I think sometimes you think that you have to put yourself onto some other pedestal to live up to someone else's expectations, without getting too much into like, our family lives and I definitely think, to be honest, this is probably a thing that applies to both of us, where we both like want to live up to other people's expectations, even if those expectations are things that we just fucking create in our brain. Yeah.
Well, like, I think the wanting to be a fun opponent and that being my primary goal, that's innate. That's within me. But sometimes I wonder if I'm not competitive is I'm inherently not competitive, or if it was beaten out of me. Yeah. And that I really don't know. That's not something I can deconstruct right now. But like, I think that if I want to have more fun playing, I need to give myself a longer leash.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%.
Especially because everyone I play against regularly is chill, and I need to. I know that, and I know that you're all chill, and you've all been chill. Like, I don't have, unlike other games that shall remain nameless, I don't have any Shatterpoint game horror story. I don't have this guy did this to me, or this lady did this to me, whatever story. It's all been positive, but like, once bitten, twice shy. So I just have this like anxiety that whoever I'm playing against, like my one Shatterpoint horror story game is not, I'm so sorry, it's Sarah Cruel. And it's nothing that he did other than I was so fucking nervous to meet him. And then we got paired against each other, and I fucking crumbled under zero pressure and just like forgot all of the basic rules. I didn't do anything that I was supposed to do. And he like realized really fast that I was freaking out and was trying to help me. And I just like, no, just kill me quickly. Put me
out of my misery, Josh.
Exactly. Let's just end this, and I'm going to go like hyperventilate in the bathroom. But like that's the worst game I've ever had. And it was like, at the end of it, I was still like, okay, this was this was a bad game, but it wasn't a bad player experience. It was just
Yeah.
me panicking for no reason. And like, I realize that every game I play is on a spectrum from that to like, I'm actually chilled out. And the games where the more chill I am, the more fun it is and the better I play. And so I just like need to calm down.
Yeah, I mean, I think for you, like, I definitely like see your growth as a player, like as someone who's just like examining my fellow people and the people that like are in my community. I definitely see you getting better, and I think I fundamentally agree with everything that you said. I think a lot of time your biggest impedance is yourself.
Yeah.
Where you overpsych yourself out, and if you just relaxed and played the way that you normally play, like when you like for the most part when I just saw you playing the Cassian Jin list, which is a good list as well, but like also when I saw you play like Obi Kiadi, like when you were playing a solid list and you have at least a little bit of practice with it, you seem good at the game. And I think if you relaxed yourself just a little bit, that you would probably just get yourself better at it. I mean, like, who knows what mental barriers we all have that we have to get through to accept our own growth.
I have realized, like, for better or for worse, everyone I play against regularly is top tier, and
we don't suck. That's true.
But the times that I have played against people who I would probably say are more at my skill level, like those games I either win or they're very close. And so I think,
and every time you play at someone at your skill level or below your skill, you're fucking helping them win anyway.
That's true.
You don't ever like give yourself the game. You're like, I am better than this person. I'm just going to beat them and have a win. You're like, nope. As soon as you're playing someone that's a skill level like right below you, you're like, nope, I'm going to help you beat me.
Well,
Tell me I'm wrong.
No.
All right. Well, I think we've had a pretty interesting discussion overall about our own like personal growth as hobbyists, as players. Do you have any like closing thoughts on the growing as a player and recognizing your own growth?
Sure. I mean, for me, it's just like relax and enjoy it.
Get out of your own way.
Get out of your own way.
Yeah.
Which probably most people would. Everyone does it a little. It'll be their own worst enemy. So yeah, relax. I
think it's different for me where I don't think I get in my own way, but I still just like always feel like I've talked about it before. Like I always feel like I'm not good enough. But like when I'm actually in the moment, I don't get in my own way. I don't get too nervous. Like I have enough confidence in the moment that I play and I play well, but somehow I'm always in a position when I think afterwards where I'm like, or if I'm like preparing for a tournament or something. And I was like, I hope I don't totally fuck this up and convince everyone that I suck.
You're gatekeeping the concept of improvement and success from yourself, which is arguably worse.
Yes. I feel like I do well at the table, like, but it's like before going where sometimes I can definitely psych myself out about, well, especially like can psych myself out about like what I want to play, where I'm like, ooh, if I go with my own idea, then I'm like, it's all hard on the sleeve sort of thing, where it's like, if I lose with my own list, then I'm just proving that I'm wrong. Oh.
Yeah, no, we have opposite stuff because I don't worry about the before. When I show up at an event, I'm like, Jin. that's it.
Yeah, we are like two totally opposite sides of this coin where I'm like, when I'm at the table, I'm like mostly good. You, like, I'm before the event, you're like, whatever.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Panic. And then the event ends and I'm fine again.
But I think the moral of the story and why I wanted us to talk about it
was more.
I mean, I try to like bring it back to like a,
I was just talking.
Yeah. The moral of the story. It's like, I think the takeaway should probably be that we often don't do a good enough job recognizing our own improvements.
Sure.
And try to find the ways that work for you to recognize that you've grown as a painter, that you've grown as a tactician. That
Be your own hype man.
know, yeah. Or maybe you just need to talk to whoever is your hype man.
That's true.
Which
That's
is
true.
Pure.
Pure is a solid hype man.
Yeah.
You know what though? I think it's Dylan.
Dylan's a pretty fucking good hype man.
Yeah. But yeah, either find your hype man or be your own hype man.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. Rock it.
All right. Well, I think we will close things out there. And since the puck was demos, do you think you're rarely reserved in your demos, or do you think you're commonly reserved in your demos?
No. My demos are not reserved at all.
You talked about holding things back in the demo. Is that rarely reserved if you're holding back?
Different. That's
Is it?
Yeah, because that's like premeditated manipulation and shit.
DQS.
Straight queen shit, which is never reserved. I'm playing chess here.
Yeah.
And sometimes that means making things look simple when they're not.
I like how you psych yourself out about playing in tactical games with people, but you're getting people into the hobby. You're the most manipulative tactician that you can possibly imagine. And you're
I know people.
Queen shit.
I actually had that conversation with someone where I was like, I'm not a great tactician. And they're like, you have a 10-year plan and you manipulate every single portion of your life to your exact standards. What the fuck are you on? And I had to think about that for a while.
You are definitely a tactician. So I think as much as you want to be a part of competitive stuff is entirely up to you.
Damn. Ball in my court.
Yeah. Or a lightsaber in your court.
Blaster.
Lightsaber in your dojo.
Blaster in my hands.
Yeah, lightsaber on your ship.
That's a problem. 'Cause I don't wield one of those. The lightsaber on the ship.
Fair.
Droid Queen sent eight different, B2s out.
All
Shit,
right.
got some problems.
Well, watchers, listeners, you tell us if we demo rarely reserved or not. Later, nerds.
Comm signal lost.